I'm Councillor Bennett, and I'd like to welcome you all to Cambridge City Council's hybrid licensing subcommittee meeting, which is taking place on Monday 15th August at 10:21 a.m. Joining me are Councillor Pagecroft and Councillor Flaubert. Before I begin with introductions of the officers present, I will go to the first item on the agenda and ask the legal advisor to take the election of a chairperson.
Good morning. Can I have a nomination for somebody to chair the meeting, please? Madam, yes, who you nominate?
Yeah, I nominate Councillor Bennett to chair.
Do I have a second? Thank you very much. Madam, if you're happy to take the chair, please continue.
Thank you, Paul. Officers present at this meeting include the licensing officer Luke Catchpole, legal advisor Paul Weller, and committee manager Sarah Steed, and the meeting producer is James Goddard. We're also joined by the applicants. Are we joined by the applicant? Adam O'Sullivan, Mr. Andrew Osborne, here representing Mr. O'Sullivan. I'm sorry, I'm not aware of your identities.
Could I ask you to use your microphones, if possible? Thank you. I have a bit of a hearing. Okay. Beg your pardon, you can't use them.
The present supporting application are two of our friends and supporters, Ian Frayne and Rachel Gadsby, who are here in non-speaking capacity. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we also have Mr. Jorgen Weeks, who's a local resident, and we're looking forward to hearing from you later.
Morgan. Works. Whiskey Double Echo Romeo Tango Sierra. Double Echo Romeo Tango Sierra.
I must apologise, Mr. Wirtz, about mispronouncing your name, and I understand you're here to speak in objection to the application. Finally, welcome to members of the public who are watching via the Council's YouTube channel. We welcome all of you and thank you for coming to the Licensing Committee meeting on this hot day. Your involvement is what makes this procedure work, so thank you for taking time. I just have a few housekeeping points. Because of the heat, we're not asking you to wear masks. Unisex and female toilets are located outside the chamber on your right as you leave, and the door is a push button. Should there be another fire alarm, please follow officers out of the building. Please take your rubbish away with you and dispose of it. And please try and refer to specific page numbers within the report if you are referring to a specific paragraph or plan. I will now ask if there are any declarations of interest that councillors would like to declare. Councillor Pagecroft?
When this was the boat race 20 odd years ago, I did used to visit it.
Thank you. Thank you. I have a short declaration of interest to make, which is that I am a member of CAMRA and that I visited the venue on Saturday night for a short 2-hour visit, partly because it's a Strawberry Fair benefit, but also to evaluate it for myself. But before that, I have not visited the venue in 10 years. I do not feel that any of the interests declared have any impact on ability to hear the feeling.
Councillor, the question for you and your colleagues is whether or not, despite those peripheral interests, you come to this application with an open mind. If you do, then I'm happy for you to continue.
Thank you. I think we're all happy to continue. Would you like me to read out the procedure for the meeting?
Sorry, I think, Councillor, if everybody's had the agenda pack, the procedure is within the agenda pack. If you're happy that you've read it, fine. If you have any questions on it, then now is the opportunity. If not, we will proceed on to the hearing. So are you happy with the procedure?
Yeah, happy to go ahead.
And yourselves? Brilliant, thank you.
Also happy.
They're ready to present and share their report, please. Proceed.
Thank you, Chair. An application under Section 17 of the Licensing Act 2003 for a premises licence to be issued in respect of the 66 Bars, 170 East Road, Cambridge, has been received from the 66 Bars Limited. The application was served on Cambridge City Council on the 20th of June 2022 and is attached to the report as Appendix A, with a proposed plan of the premises attached at Appendix B. The applicant is seeking a premises licence for the following licensable activities: sale of alcohol on a Sunday to Wednesday, midday to midnight, 30 minutes past midnight, and Thursday to Saturday, midday to 1:30 a.m. Live music on Monday to Sunday, midday to 11 p.m, and recorded music Sunday to Wednesday, midday to 1 a.m, Thursday to Saturday, midday to 2 a.m. In accordance with the regulations of the Act, the application was advertised on the premises and in a local newspaper to invite representations from responsible authorities and other persons. The last date for submitting representations was the 18th of July 2022. Representations were received from one other person. This representation is attached as Appendix C. No representations were received from any of the responsible authorities. Cambridgeshire Constabulary did amend 3 conditions with the applicant. All of the conditions proposed by the applicant and agreed with the police are attached as Appendix D. A licensing subcommittee hearing was arranged due to the representation being received from a member of the public. Cambridge City Council received an application on the 21st of July to transfer the existing licence with the existing layout as Appendix E and conditions as Appendix F from the SNUG to the applicant. This takes immediate effect, however, there's a consultation period for the police to object within a 14-day period. The consultation end date would be the 4th of August 2022. No representations were made by the police in regards to this application to transfer the premises licence. A change of business name and variation form to become the designated premises supervisor was received on the 1st of August 2022. This takes immediate effect. However, there is a consultation period for the police to object within a 14-day period. To date, no representations from the police have been made. The applicant applied to use temporary event notices for the 5th, 6th and 7th of August to extend the supply of alcohol until 2 a.m. on all days requested. The applicant requested for live music to take place from 7 p.m. to 10:45 on Friday the 5th of August and 2 p.m. to 10:45 p.m. on Saturday 6th of August. Recorded music was applied for between the hours of 10:45 p.m. and 2 a.m. for all 3 days. The application therefore needs to be determined. Members must determine the application on its individual merits, having reference to the statutory licensing objectives, Cambridge City Council's Statement of Licensing Policy and Cambridge City Council's Cumulative Impact Assessment. The proposed premises is located within a cumulative impact area and is therefore subject to the Cumulative Impact Assessment. It creates a presumption for any new premises licence applications or variations within a CIA that are likely to add to the existing cumulative impact will normally be refused if relevant representations are received about the cumulative impact on the licensing objectives. This is unless the applicant can demonstrate why the operation of the premises involved will not add to the cumulative impact already being experienced. Thank you.
Thank you, Officer Catchpole. Do Councillor Pagecroft or Councillor Flobert have any questions for the licensing officer? I have a few questions myself. Mr. Catchpole, I understand you've had representations from police. Were there any environmental health representations?
There were no representations from the police. The police agreed conditions with the applicant. There was no representations from the environmental health team.
And is that a positive statement that they do not wish to make representations?
I can't go into guessing why they haven't made a representation. You can just take that they haven't made a representation. Seen the application the same as every other responsible authority and responded accordingly.
Thank you. Please also ask whether Mr. O'Sullivan or Mr. Osborne have any points of clarification for the officer.
No points at this time, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, do you have any points of clarification regarding the licensing officer's report?
No points of clarification, no.
Ms. Sullivan, would you like to give your... Apologise.
No,
Mr. O'Sullivan, would you like to give your presentation? And Mr. Osborne is also welcome to address the committee as and when required.
Sure, you'll have to forgive me. This is my first one, so I'll just speak freely about the project at hand and my experiences have been in Cambridge. In a short time, I'm not from Cambridge, so no one knows me anything here. We have brought this wonderful community together through music, art, culture, working with local societies at the university, notably the LGBTQ society. Everything we've done has been in a positive nature and really lifted the area, which has always been the 6-6 goal, to be a safe space for everyone to enjoy, for the arts, for culture, tourism, employment. I think we've done all of that, notably in a very short space of time. The project itself, we call kind of a regeneration project as well within the area. We've notably picked up trade for other businesses, built great relationships with the local businesses. Long-term goals, we're working with another independent in Urellis for our food, which is coming later on, to keep that independent trade alive. I think the most notable thing for us is it's a brave move what we're doing. We can't afford to make any mistakes. In a time of crisis for independent music venues throughout the UK, we dare to be bold and open one. In a time of energy crisis, as an independent business, we still dare to be brave and move forward with this. I think the work we've done in a short space of time speaks volumes for what we're doing for Cambridge and the community. And I hope everyone here kind of can see that, what we're doing. I guess that's the only statement I really wanted to get across, that, you know, I'm not a conglomerate, I'm one man, I have one little bit of money. I'm not here to test the boundaries, for sure. I'm here to work with and for the community, with the council, with the police, and with the local residents also. That would be my statement at this point. I hope that's what you were looking for. Thank you.
My name's Andrew Osborne, but please call me Ozzy. Just a brief bit about myself. I'm a local trade union activist. I'm the Vice Chair of Cambridge Engineering Branch of Unite, and I'm a 17-year Strawberry Fair veteran, having served as Vice Chair, Chair of Programming, run the main stage. I currently look after the stalls. So when I first realised Adam was coming to get... Sorry.
Mr. Osborne, could you possibly speak a little bit more slowly?
No, I
people
really
on
can't,
wheelchairs?
unfortunately. I'll try. So, yeah, I'll try and repeat myself. So I'm a local community activist, effectively. I believe in community events and community cohesion. And when I realised that Adam was putting together this project to reopen the boat race as the 6-6 bar, I made sure I got involved and actually sort of built a crew of Cambridge locals, as well as Adam, who's obviously not from the city itself. I mean, as a Romsey resident, I feel very strongly that we've lost too many music venues in Cambridge. Obviously, the boat race initially, when it first shut down, we lost the Q Club, the Cellar Bar. We almost lost the Portland Arms, for God's sake. We lost the Flying Pig recently. I mean, this city is becoming a bit of a cultural wasteland, and we do need to reverse that trend desperately. And this is the first step to do, taking that bold leap forward. So in terms of the community cohesion thing, we've put together a large crew, mostly volunteers, working for the refurbishment, from all kinds of groups. Certainly a lot of the Strawberry Fair community have been involved, because obviously we really believe in this community thing, and we're all very enthusiastic to have the venue reopened. And we've had some amazing nights the last couple of nights. And yeah, any questions, we're happy to answer them. But I would urge the councillors to just take in the fact that it's desperately needed in the city of Cambridge, and the community is well behind us. I mean, we launched a petition, an open letter, and it was signed by 142 local residents, all in CV 1 to 5 postcodes, so all Cambridge City residents, your electors effectively. So they're very strongly in support. And we had an excellent letter from a man called Jim Smith on Sturton Street, who actually was very enthusiastic about the way the venue's been run and the fact it's reopening. So hopefully you receive those emails from me on Friday, I believe I sent them lunchtime. Did you all get them?
Get them.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Happy to answer. Thank you.
Do Councillor Pagecroft or Councillor Flobert have any questions for the applicant?
Yeah, I do have a few. Yeah, I have a few questions. I was quite pleased to see that you had actually put in there about Ask Angela, which I feel is quite important. I didn't actually see in the conditions that you agreed with the police. Will that still be going, something that's going forward? And also, your posters where you're putting up about be safe. Is it possible for you to put some posters up about spiking drinks? And also, I think there's all those spiking where they're injecting into the lake, all those sort of posters up. Could they go up as well for safety? We're also a bit concerned about, will music be piped out into the garden? Or is that just going to be for people to go out and eat in the garden area, yeah, and smoke, obviously? Because even people eating make a noise, and they talk. So I don't know if you know that you can get acoustic fences to go around these places. No?
Sorry, not something I'm aware that's humanly possible outside. Possibly there's things we could look at potentially, like maybe a tent covering, but it's not built for volume outside. I think it's almost impossible.
Is it something that you could maybe think about, that if this noise, if the gentleman comes back and says the noise is too much? I know you can get acoustic fences because we do put them around children's playgrounds and things, so it would actually dampen down the noise quite a bit. I was a bit concerned when I saw about special effects, and then I read later on that it's not going to be going. And have you settled on a capacity amount for actually people going in and out of this place? Do we know what the number is? Could we know that? If you don't have it with you, that's why maybe I missed that.
I'm still waiting to liaise with fire on that. We've reduced it down to 150. However, doing the math based on how it's worked out, we anticipate the venue would actually be allowed to be probably closer to 180. But at the moment, we have no interest in pursuing that until otherwise stated.
Councillor, sorry, if I may assist on that. Licensing Act doesn't generally cover issues of capacity. The way it operates is that it relies upon the fire service to carry out their own risk assessment in the full knowledge that should capacity numbers be exceeded, then that there are very draconian action the fire service can take.
Just for my information, it would have been nice to have that in. Just for me, it would have been nice to have had that information because it's in the report, and I would just like to have known.
Madam, it would be perfect, but we can't go rewrite the legislation.
No, of course not. And supervisors, how many door supervisors are you having?
So currently we have 2 at the weekends, just as a precautionary cover, and on Thursdays we've just brought in 1, just because.
And will they be supervising the smoking area as well?
Yeah, the plan is to have 1 at the front door, so we keep the doors closed, which are now new soundproof doors that have just been put in. And we plan to have 1 at the rear of the building as well to monitor that situation.
And will they be conducting when people have to leave? Will they be making sure it's like staggered and pushing people on?
Yeah, absolutely. So I run this the same as those that run the very large venues in London. We have a team brief at the beginning of the day, and we tell them to slowly start ushering people out. When we start with the bar, the back, and then very back. So it's staggered up.
I have a few questions myself. I'm looking at the noise report. Apologies. Just find the page number. Page 43 and 44 of reports. And my particular question is that it states that the doors will be closed during any performance, but I wasn't clear whether that covered the door to the garden area.
It will.
So will the garden area be available during performances,
Yes.
but the door is going to be close to it?
It would be the same as entry and exit. There's nothing stopping a punter coming in and paying halfway through a performance. You open, you close. It will be the same principle to allow people to use the facilities.
Mr. Catchpole has a point here.
A condition you'll see on premises licences will say that doors and windows will be closed except for egress and ingress, and then that would cover them concerns. So you could amend that condition if you so wish.
Thank you.
This is not a question. I just want to put forward that this is really very good, what you've done, where you've been in consultation with the police and worked out conditions. It does make it our job easier, and I want to thank you for that.
Thank you. Does anybody else have any questions on Mr. O'Sullivan's, Mr. Osborne's presentation? Mr. Catchpole.
Thank you. Just a couple of questions relating to the same page. You said a noise management plan has been devised and in operation. Would it be possible to send that through to the local authority for us to have view of?
Yeah, absolutely. And we've just been working obviously with EMT, the local music people. So we're just finalising that, but I can get that over to you as well.
And also regarding the noise limiter that you said has been set at a level agreed with the local authority, has that been done yet, or is that something that you will do?
We've been working with obviously it's all brand new equipment, so we've been setting it all at 90 decibels in-house. So we can control that. It's with the technology of the sound desk as well.
It's just it says noise limiters are fitted to amplification equipment and have been set with the authority. I'm not aware that we've agreed any limits with you. So before you can, if a licence is granted to comply with that condition, you will need to get someone from the local authority there to agree the conditions with you.
So you're happy to work that out, not a problem at all.
And I think you said earlier that you had a team of volunteers helping with the refurbishments. What's actually changed? What changed with the refurbishments?
Mentally, it's an aesthetic change. Obviously in the snug, if anyone had been in there before, there was all raised areas. Obviously we've got the stage in there now, which is just fundamentally another raised area. Other than that, just everything's been updated. There was poor sewage and toilets in there. We've fixed all of that. It's purely aesthetic.
So the bars and the location of the bars haven't changed. They're all in the same place and everything like that.
That's correct.
Thank you. Councillor Claiborne?
Yes, I have a question, and I will apologise if it's not completely within the licensing aspect. But my question to the applicant is whether they have in plan what do they have in place for complaints on site if somebody complains, vulnerable people like a lady of harassment or possibly a resident that comes that has problems with the noise. How would you deal with that situation?
Absolutely. Onto the complaints, the lady complaining, let's say, for example, in house, the whole business is built on a safe place. So again, things like ours for Angela, I am always on the shop floor. Everyone's starting to know who I am. We run a very tight ship. To date, there's only been one potential issue of someone coming in, which was removed from the building. That was just a bit drunk. That's all we've had to date. Other than that, yeah, we deal with things on a one-on-one basis, and we pride ourselves on that safe space. So everything would be logged, same as everything else in a book by staff. Whether it be someone refused alcohol, there was a complaint, it's all logged. We've always run our business like that. In terms of local residents, again, I'm a really approachable guy. If there was any other problems, we can have a meeting. They can come and sit with me, and I'm more than happy to talk to anyone about anything and come to a solution together. I pride myself on being an approachable person, so yeah, my door's always open.
In addition to that, we have a full set of websites, social media forums, we have a phone line in the pub, and we will take emails and phone calls if anyone objects via that method. Thank you.
Question regarding the soundproofing. Obviously, the doors have been done at the front, which are those two main doors. But the rest of the building itself, is that the original soundproofing from when it was back at the... What have you done inside? As you said, aesthetically, you've changed it, but what about the rest? I mean, the toilets as well, they open up onto the open area and they have their windows open, etc. at night time. The rear area that's uncovered with music, recorded music, not live music, but, you know, as Councillor Pagecroft did say regarding what's, you know, it does travel. I'm testament to that because I've heard it. And especially that first weekend of the 5th to 6th when you had your TENs, the live music was quite something. And then from 11 o'clock onwards until the early hours with the recorded music, you still hear it. And it was quite... So I can understand with the doors being done, and some of the windows have been obviously done as well, but are you doing any further? Because it's you can't really, a building like that, you can't really 100% soundproof it unless you redo the interior. I don't know. Is there something else you're planning to do on the interior or the exterior?
Sure. In the question, no, it's not the old stuff. All the windows have been brand new soundproofed. They've been purposely built with the cladding, soundproofing, exterior, cladded, and then onto the front of the windows. So that's how we've controlled that. It's the highest spec soundproofing, as far as I'm aware, that we've got for the windows. There is no recorded music in the garden per se, as in there's no speakers. Yes, as has been pointed out, doors open, sound travels. If it's deemed we need to do more, we are more than happy to do so. At this moment in time, we hope we've done enough in terms of we've been doing regular decibel reads and things like that at the exterior, over at the local residence, on the front of East Road. So that's the other perimeter we're kind of working to. And we're doing all we think we can. If there's more to be done, then we're more than happy to discuss that. But we've done everything we feel relevant at this moment in time.
Yeah, that sounds, you know, reasonable. But as a resident of 17 years where I've been, I mean, the last couple of weekends have pretty much been not the nicest to have to deal with, particularly the live music. And if you're going to have that on a regular basis and then continue on with recorded music, which you, as I said, it's literally white noise that I'm hearing, and it is disturbing for me. And I've been there a long time, and I mean, I'm all open for whatever you can do, particularly that garden area, and also the lighting. There's been an issue with your lighting going on and off. There's 3 spotlights in the garden area, and they come on, they go off, and then people in the back garden are going, yeah, oh, and I tell you, people talking, as Councillor Bennett actually mentioned as well, you can hear, it doesn't have to even be music, it's white noise from people, and as the night goes on, the sound just travels easier than if you're during the day. So the lighting issue, you know, because it comes on, goes off, and comes on, goes off. I'm wondering, is there a problem with the electrics there?
No, the lighting is currently built onto the timer switch with the heater. Just with energy crisis the way it is, we thought it was the most prudent way to manage the lighting. However, as I said, I'm more than happy to work with people, and if that is a concern, it's one we can correct quite easily. I don't want to make your life any harder than it has to be. So we can certainly look at that for you. Acoustic stuff outside, I mean, if we have to do more readings, again, we're here to do that. I feel like the work we've put in already was the highest spec possible, and the decibel reads that we're doing will kind of support that, in my opinion.
I just want to add that I am actually a musician myself. I've long many years. I'm all for live music venues, etc. I've been to many a gig myself over many parts of the world as well, including Cambridge, and I do agree that a lot of venues have closed down, and it previously was a music venue, as we all know. But it's just with today's technology and the sounds and the music type, I mean, I'm a little bit disappointed that there have been previous occasions when it was another building that, you know, I have had problems and I haven't done anything about it because I've just got frustrated and thought, right, it's just a weekend every now and then. My concern, obviously, is that your licence is for until the early hours, and with the recorded music, I'd be happy. I'm quite happy as an establishment. I'm grateful that you put investment in. That's all about regenerating the area. But I'm just worried that for me, I'm going to suffer, and I don't want to have to move. So that's, it's the noise. As you say, you've only had one drunk, which is great. Antisocial behaviour is another concern of mine when people, particularly young people, and the build-up of vehicles, because on the live, the first weekend, I can't remember if it's Saturday night or the Friday night, there was a load of vehicles which generally do park around Burley Street, but then there was some motorcyclists parking in the actual Adam and Eve Street, and if there was an issue with fire brigade or police or ambulance had to come through, it would have been difficult for them to access Burley Street further. That's a concern of mine as well. So just with regard to patrons, where they leave their vehicles, tell them, leave some sort of notice that, you can't park here, it's not permitted. I know that people shouldn't do that anyway, but signage within your establishment to say, look, you've got to park here and not there, because it's in your own interest as well. If you had God forbid, if you had a fire in your establishment, yes, okay, you've got East Road, but if they had to come around from the back and they couldn't get through, God forbid.
Yeah, with respect, control of the roads of Burley Street is entirely at the police and the council's discretion. I mean, obviously we are aware that the venue is surrounded by double yellow lines everywhere. We tell all our people, all our bands, we have artists parking down the side of the building, and obviously punters from Cambridge would know it and would drive to the boatways, for God's sake, it'd be ridiculous. So we would urge the City Council and the police and the County Council to take the issue of on-street parking on double yellow lines around the venue more seriously, given the fact we've reopened now, so that is a genuine concern. And in terms of if the fire brigade needs to move something, they'll literally knock over a bike, they don't care. If there's a fire, they'll drive through it to get to the fire, I can guarantee you that. Thank you.
Just to add as well, when we have artists arrive at the venue, we advise them to park up, unload, and then move on to somewhere suitable to park. We are more than willing to do more than that as well on our website and our emails to sign off with a statement saying, if you want to park, please park here, 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 and here. I can control it as much as I can, but people will be people.
Do you feel that your questions have been answered fully?
Yeah, I think so for now. If there's anything else that comes up, I'll say something else. Thank you.
The other person have a further question? Mr. Weller?
If I may, on your pack, page 41 through to 44, are the conditions that you've agreed with the police. In your application, there are other conditions. Am I right in thinking that where the conditions from pages 41 onwards replicate your earlier conditions, these are to be substituted? Sorry, Luke.
So they are the conditions taken from the application
They were
form,
taken from
plus the three that the police
I
agreed.
confess
So,
I hadn't read all the way through. I just want to make sure that we get all the conditions in.
I may be allowed a few questions myself. Would you be open to providing Mr. Wirtz with a direct contact number?
Absolutely, you can take my personal number.
Would that be helpful to you, Mr. Wirtz?
No, that would be extremely helpful. As I said before, I am you know, I'm all up for new premises, so, and you've put investment in there and to beautify the area, so to speak, which is a good thing for that area, because I have been there a long time and I have seen a lot.
And would you also be open to copying the noise management plan to Mr. Wirtz?
Absolutely.
Yeah, be good, thank you.
In which case, I think it's now time for us to hear from Mr. Wirtz, unless you feel you've already made all your points.
Well, the main issue was obviously the noise, prevention of public nuisance from the licensing objectives, number C. Obviously, and then I thought otherwise about the build-up of vehicles, but if that can be prevented, then that's fine by me as well. I'm happy with the protection of children from harm, if they've got the security, as long as they've got the security and they're visible, and that's the main thing, because establishments like that do need that type of thing. We don't want any type of trouble. Yeah, prevention of crime and disorder. Well, that also sort of comes around about prevention of public nuisance with the noise, with people leaving the premises. If, you know, I believe the signs are going to be displayed to, and they're going to be sort of asked to leave in a particular way. If you can guide them away from Burley Street and say, go round the back way if you're going to go somewhere, rather than down Burley Street, because coming that way, if they're all a little bit, if they've had a little bit of fun and they're not completely drunk, then they can just carry on happily down, say, East Road, where they're not so much of a problem, and then work whichever way. So yeah, notices, if they're there, happy.
Just to be clear, do you feel any happier now that you've heard from the applicants?
Yeah, if I'm reasonably happy with what they've said they've done and what they're still proposing to do or to look at, and the fact that we could liaise if there's further problems, you know, with regard to the music levels or whatever, if I can let them know, look, you know, it's still a bit of a problem and we can do it in a nice way rather than come to any other problems, you know, resolve it between us first before having to go any further, which is ideally what I'd want to hear. If they can solve the problems, then I'll be very happy. So.
Thank you, Mr. Wirtz. Does anybody have any questions, Mr. Wirtz? Councillor Pagecroft?
I know I mentioned it, it's not actually in conditions and things, but could I just please put it in your mind again that if Mr. Worth does complain about the noise out the garden, you think about looking into an acoustic fence? Because I do know that they do work and they do keep the sound down quite a bit. Thank you.
Mr. Paul, do you have any points of clarification or questions?
No, thank you.
Anybody else have any further points of clarification or questions? In which case, I would like to ask Mr. Catchpole, the licensing officer, to summarise their points.
So on page 10 of your report, going into page 11, the subheading options, number 5, whilst having reference to the information provided by the applicant and the information raised in the representation, and also Cambridge City Council statement of licensing policy and cumulative impact assessment, the subcommittee's decision must be made with a view to promoting one or more of the 4 licensing objectives, namely the prevention of crime and disorder, public safety, the prevention of public nuisance, and the protection of children from harm. Members should take such steps that they consider unnecessary for the promotion of the licensing objectives. The subcommittee may resolve to grant the licence subject to the mandatory conditions and those conditions offered by the applicant, which may be modified to such extent as the authority considers necessary for the promotion of the licensing objectives. to exclude from the scope of the licence any of the licensable activities to which the application relates, to refuse to specify a person in the licence as the premises supervisor, to reject the application, and members must give reasons for their decision. And I remind you as well that the premises is within the cumulative impact area, and therefore if you're departing from the cumulative impact assessment, to give reasons why you're departing from that policy. Thank you.
Thank you. Does the applicant and his representative have any further questions to make? In which case, would you like to summarise your position for us now?
Sure. Outside of all the information that you have, obviously, as I said earlier in my earlier statement, I'm always here to work with the council, the police, and of course the residents as well. We're here to lift up the area, and I'm more than happy to continue doing that. I don't want anyone to ever feel like they can't approach me. The 6-6 is supposed to be a beacon of light for change, for music, for art, for culture. And to do that, we need to work with everyone. So I just hope everyone here knows that I take this seriously, and I take Mr. Wirtz's comments seriously as well. And we'll continue to do the best we can for everyone.
So for last time, please can I check that all the parties are satisfied that they have said everything that they would like to? Now is the subcommittee will discuss it.
Sorry, madam, before you retire, there's just one or two pieces of advice I need to offer in public. You've heard this morning about the community engagement and the community involvement with regard to the premises. Insofar as any decision you make this morning is concerned, the only criteria you're allowed to take into account are the 4 licensing objectives, and however commendable the social engagement side of things is, it is not a criteria upon which you can make your decision. The other aspect is that the premises is within a cumulative impact area. That says that there shouldn't be any more new premises unless things are being put into place. The situation here is that this is not a new premises. There was a licensed premises there, and as I understand it, that license has now been transferred, so there is a licensed premises there. So it's not a new premises in that respect. If you grant the application, then the applicant will be sitting on a premises that has 2 parallel licenses running. That is not impossible. The difficulty for the applicant is that at once, when he gets up in the morning, he has to decide, am I operating on license A or license B? And if he chooses to operate on license A, the conditions on that license bite. If it's license B, the conditions of that license bite, and he can't pick and choose which conditions you want to go with. Therefore, I would suggest, if the application is granted, and I don't prejudge these things at all, that you're going to have to make a decision with regard to the 2 parallel licenses, because although it's not impossible, it runs the risk of complicating the issues. There's also mention this morning about the difficulties in the streets and traffic and parking and all the rest of it. That is beyond your remit. It would be great to exercise some form of control, but it's beyond your remit. You can't condition that the applicant does something about it because it's beyond your remit, but you may feel reassured that the applicant has been in the room this morning and has heard what has been said and may well take the initiative to some form of management, but you can't condition it. Madam, really, insofar as advice is concerned, those are the three issues I wanted to cover, unless you have any specific questions.
I have no questions. Oh, hang on. Please go ahead.
Just wanted to make the point that the dual licence, should we be granted the new licence, the other one will be, there was a terminology for it, but we'll get rid of it, yeah. Surrendered it, that was it, yeah.
Again, the panel can hear the words. There's nothing they can do to hold you to those words, but the panel can hear those words.
Thank you. Any further comments from anybody? Mr. Wirtz, is there anything else that you would wish to ask for from the applicant?
No, I'm satisfied with that. It was just interesting, Mr. Wheeler, the point you mentioned. I had no idea that the other one, that they would have parallel, and that would be, obviously, they'd say, oh, we're planning on this and that. But as you say, you're planning to cancel the existing licence should you be granted the new one. Satisfied with that they're not going to have parallel licences running, because that really would create some sort of problem.
The problems are all with the applicant on that.
Thank you. The subcommittee will discuss their decision in private session now, and if necessary, will ask for legal advice on the wording of a decision. The legal advisor and committee manager can be present at the session if requested. A decision has to be given within 5 days of this meeting. Members will leave this room and go to the members' lounge to deliberate the decision in private. But if more time is needed and we think a decision will not be made today, we will let you know. You're welcome to sit on the landing or stay in this room or take a break outside. I suggest 30 minutes. Suggest we will not return to this room for 30 minutes, which would be 11:40. And we...
Madam, I think that's a sensible suggestion, so that give you half an hour to retire. Allow those present, if they want to return at 11:40, to go grab a coffee and come back. If they don't need to return, then they don't need to return. It's not an issue. Everything's been heard that can be heard. It may well be that 11:40, the decision is that it would take some time to make a decision, but at least by 11:40 we will have some information and some form of rationale.
Is everybody happy with that? Return at 11:40 or go away and have the decision sent to you? If made within a reasonable time, on my return, I will read out the decision to this committee to you. A signed copy of the record of decision will be handed to the applicant to take away. Otherwise, the licensing officer will notify you and an electronic copy will be sent to you. And I've already indicated that we expect to take 30 minutes initially, and we'll notify the legal advisor before the end of that period if we think we're going to need additional time. Before we retire, do you have any further advice for us, Paul?
Thank you.
Are all parties clear on the deliberation process? Thank you for your time. Thank you. Thank you, all of you, for your patience in waiting for our decision. I am pleased to say that our decision is to grant the licence subject to the mandatory conditions, those conditions offered by the applicant and those conditions arising out of the discussions between the applicant and police. There will be a short delay while we type out the notice of decision with our detailed reasoning and any other issues we wish to mention. There is no need to wait for that. You are free to leave, and we thank you.
So, Madam, before everybody departs, just a couple of things. The decision notice will now be finalised. No, please, sir, not in this building. Decision notice will now be finalised and sent out, so it's within the time frame. Insofar as the new licence is concerned, one of the conditions that you've offered is to agree the noise agreements with the local authority. Clearly, if you operate under that licence before that happens, you have instantly breached the licence and open yourselves up to prosecution. So you have to get that bit done sooner rather than later. Sir.
So can we clarify this? So if we go back to the bar this afternoon and turn on the PA system, are we in breach of the Licensing Act?
If you're operating the licence, then you are. If you're testing, then you're not. Operating the licence involves members of the public in there.
You'll do have the snug licence, so if you're using that, then you're not in breach. But once you start using this one, you need to have everything in place for them conditions.
So we need to wait for the decision to come through with the new licence. Once that's through, we can operate under what we've applied for.
Say again slowly.
So the licence that you've granted today, obviously the extensions and whatnot, once that comes through, that's valid. So we'll wait.
The licence has been granted, and once it comes through, it's valid, but you have a condition on there that you have yet to fulfil.
Just to agree a noise level with licensing officer yourself. How long would that take, and what would that require?
Tell us you put the condition in your licence to set a noise limit in agreement with the local authority. So you'd need a member of the local environmental health team to come down to agree that them limits are satisfactory for that to be signed off. As we've discussed, Mr. Verts would be quite interested to be part of that, and I suggest it'd be good from your side to be at his premises to also hear what he's hearing, and then you can set a limit that works accordingly.
So do I just liaise with you in terms of setting that up?
If you email commercial@cambridge.gov.uk, the officer that deals with your area will be able to arrange a time to come out. Have you got all the equipment in place? Yeah, so it'll just be a case of you're going to need to test it, but it'll probably be, you want to set a limit where it's most effective. So if you're playing on Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights, then I suggest you want to be setting that limit at that time, because that'll take into account the background noise. So you want to set that limit at the correct time. There's no point setting it at 8 o'clock on Sunday morning when there's very little background noise in the area.
Okay, there might be one, not for here, but this is new, I'm new, so I'm trying to understand. So, for example, obviously we've got some events planned for the weekend. It's quite late in the day. Would you suggest another 10s, based like we've done recently?
Out of time to apply for a 10 for this weekend. Got the other licence that you can use that allows you to have music until 11 p.m. You could use that. I can't comment on the officer's availability to get out to you this week and set what is an agreeable limit. As the legal officers pointed out, you can't use that licence until you discharge them conditions, basically. So everything in there needs to be in place from the first minute that you start using that licence.
The other thing that was in members' mind in making the decision is that they've picked up on what appears to be a good relationship between the parties in the room. They wish for that to continue, but with all licences, if anyone has any concerns about the way the premises is operated, then they are entitled to bring the premises back for a review, which may have other consequences. And if there are noise issues further, then it may well be that the City Council Environmental Health team will become involved, and there will be issues like noise abatement notices, which again may result in prosecution for breaches. So yes, you've got the licence. Yes, you've got a very fine line to tread. I think, Madam, for the mechanics of it, we have to prepare or finalise the decision notices can be sent out. As you say, the parties need no longer wait. May I thank you, everyone, for attending and for your participation in the process.
I'd like to say thank you to everybody too for taking part in the process. Thank you.